Good day everyone. Our subject is UCSP 11 third quarter week 4. I'm your teacher Roel R. Rosales Jr. Our topic is all about human capacity for culture. But before we proceed, let's read our learning targets. I can trace the biological and cultural evolution of early to modern humans. Explore the significance of human materials, remains, and art. Factual evidence in interpreting cultural and social, including political and economic, processes, and recognize national, local, and specialized museums and archaeological and historical sites as venue to appreciate and reflect on the complexity of biocultural and social evolution as part of being and becoming human. Culture is defined as that complex whole which encompasses beliefs, practices, values, attitudes, laws, norms, artifacts, symbols, knowledge, and everything that a person learns and shares as a member of a society. Taylor 2010. It is byproduct of the attempt of humans to survive their environment and to compensate for their biological characteristic and limitations. Our evolution toward humanity as we know it has been a long journey of survival against the element of the environment and against competing species. As our ancestors evolved biologically in response to their environment, they have also developed cultural technologies that aid them to efficiently obtain food and differ predators. Evolution is a natural process of biological changes occurring in a population across successive generations. Banaag 2012, page 31. It helps us identify and analyze man's psychological development and eventually the emergence of different society. Moreover, man's progression and characteristics are essential in understanding the capability for adaptation. Most scientists currently recognize some 15 to 20 different species of early humans. Human biocultural evolution. Species. Hominids, man-like primates. Characteristic. The development of the different species of primates which were able to evolve in 40 million years ago. There have been various relics of hominids which could be described as man-like primates. They are Ramapithecus, Lucy, and Australopithecus. Homo habilis, handlyman, the ape-like men who first to use tools as weapons and protection of their enemies. They are recognized as the first true human, lived about 2.4 to 1.4 million years ago. Homo erectus, the upright man. It was believed to be the first man-like creature that lived about 500,000 years ago in Asia, Africa, and Europe. This man-like species could walk straight with almost the same brain with modern man. He made refined stone tools for hunting and weapons for protection of the enemies. The following are the major discovered fossils. Pithecanthropus erectus, Java man, discovered by Eugene Dubois at Trinidad, Java, Indonesia in 1891. Syntanthropus pekinensis, Peking man, discovered at Kokoten Village, Beijing, China in 1929. Homo sapiens, the thinking man. It was believed that this was the direct descendant of modern man who lived about 250,000 years ago. They had similar physical description with modern man. They originated as the primate men whose activities were largely dependent on hunting, fishing, and agriculture. They buried their dead, used hand tools, and had religion. The following are Homo sapiens subspecies. Neanderthal man, discovered in Netherlands Valley near Düsseldorf, Germany in 1856, who lived in cave and dependent in hunting and fishing. Cro-Magnon man, discovered by a French archaeologist, Louis Latet, in the Cro-Magnon cave in southern France. It was believed to live in Europe, Asia, and Africa. As a prehistoric man, they were the first to produce art in cave paintings and crafting decorated tools and accessories. For biological capacity of human to develop culture, our thinking capacity. The primary biological component of humans that allow for culture is the developed brain. It has the necessary parts for facilitating pertinent skills such as speaking, touching, feeling, seeing, and smelling. Compared with other primates, humans have a larger brain, weighing 1.4 kg. Due to the size of brain and the complexity of its part, humans were able to create survival skills that helped them adapt to their environment and outlive their less adaptive biological relatives. Our gripping capacity. Look at your hands. Notice how your thumb relates with your other fingers. This capacity to directly oppose your thumb with your other fingers is an exclusive trait of humans. It allows us to have a finger grip. Figure 1. Hands of selected primates. The hand of human has digits, fingers, that are straight as compared with the curved ones of the other primates. Notice that the thumb of the human is proportionately longer than those of other primates. This characteristic of human had allowed for two types of grip, power and precision. Power grip enabled humans to wrap the thumb and fingers on an object. It became the cornerstone of our capacity to hold tools fairly for hunting and other activities. Precision grip enables humans to hold and pick objects steady using fingers. This capacity was crucial for tool-making activities. Our speaking capacity. As the brain is the capacity source of humans' capacity to comprehend sound and provide meaning to it, the vocal tract acts as the mechanism by which sound are produced and reproduced to transmit ideas and values. Humans have longer vocal tract compared with chimpanzee. As longer vocal tract means that there is a longer vibration surface, allowing humans to produce a wider array of sounds than chimpanzees. The tongue of human is also more flexible than of a chimpanzee, allowing for more control in making sounds. Our walking standing capacity. Primates have two forms of locomotion, bipedalism and quadrupedalism. Bipedalism is the capacity to walk and stand on 2 feet, whereas quadrupedalism uses all 4 limbs. Although apes are bipedal, humans are the only purely bipedal primates. Being bipedal, humans gain more capacity to move while carrying objects with their free hands. It gives humans more capacity of productivity with their hands like hunting and foraging. Cultural and social political development. The physical as well as the mental development of early human beings helped them understand and adapt to their existing environment. Thus, their adjustments serve as the onset of their culture. Culture enables the members of society to develop ways of coping with exigencies of nature as well as ways of harnessing their environment. Panopio et al. 1994. The changes made by man through his interaction with the environment establish the different cultural evolution which determines man's socio-cultural development. Cultural period: Paleolithic period, Old Stone Age, 3 million years to 8000 BC. Cultural and social political development: use of simple people tools, learned to live in caves, discovered the use of fires, developed small sculptures and monumental paintings, incised design and reliefs on the wall of caves, food collecting cultures. Neolithic, Age, New Stone Age, occurred sometime about 10,000 BCE. Stone tools were shaped by polishing or grinding. Settlement in permanent village. Dependence on domesticated plants or animals. Appearance of such crafts as pottery and weaving. Food producing cultures. Age of Metals, 4000 BC to 1500 BC. The use of metals such as bronze, copper, and iron produced a new historical development from cradle civilization of Egypt, Mesopotamia, Persia, including India and China, which later on spread throughout Asia. The civilization which defines to a more developed social, cultural, political, and economic system. It had already direct contacts through tribes, kingdoms, empire, and later on state, which the constant political activities were through conquest, wars, and trade. The early types of societies. During the course of human history, people have organized themselves into various types of societies, depending upon their level of technology and the related methods of subsistence. The early society confined themselves in gathering and hunting for food. When man invented the plow, it enabled him to increase the amount of available food. The introduction of modern technology and equipments, mass computerization, and white-collar service occupations has changed the man's society into a more complex one. Types of society: hunting and gathering society. Technology: very simple, fire arrow baskets. Economy: bare necessities, no supplies. Settlements: nomadic, 25 to 40 people. Social organization, or wrestling within family. Horticultural and pastoral society. Digging sticks, occasionally blade tools. Simply crop cultivation, some surplus and exchange. Semi-permanent, some cities, occasionally kingdoms. Family cantered, religious system begins to develop, moderate specialization, presence of social inequality. Agrarian society, irrigation, fertilization, metallurgy, animal drone flow. Larger agricultural but much surplus, increased market exchange and substantial trade. Permanent urbanization becoming important empires covering continent. Family loses significance as distinct religious, political, and economic system emerge. Increased presence of social inequality. Industrial society. Advanced source of energy. Merchandise production. Industrial fields engaged in agriculture or direct production. Much surplus. Fully developed market economy. Permanent urban living predominating. Cities now contain most of the population. The rise of state. Complex set of interdependent institutions. Components of culture. The beginning of early man is a proper reference in treating the interest subject of culture. Man's adaptation to his society is conformity with the culture of his time and his education have worked alongside each other in putting him in his present status as the strongest and the most intelligent creature in the world. As perceived by sociologists and anthropologists, culture is rather a complex concept. To understand culture, one must examine its major elements. Material culture. It is the physical objects a society produces, things people create and use. These are tools, furniture, clothing, automobiles, and computer systems, to name a few. Thus, the awareness of kind of objects created and how people use them brings up about greater understanding of the culture and of a society. Technology. A society's culture consists of not only physical objects but also rules for using those objects. Sociologists sometimes refer to this combination of objects and rules as technology. Using items of materials culture, particularly tools, require various skills, which are part of the non-material culture. Non-material culture. It consists of elements, terms, norms, values, beliefs, and language shared by the members of a society. Non-material culture is considered as the carriers of culture. Language. Perhaps the most defining characteristic of human being is the ability to develop and use highly complex system of symbols like language. A symbol, as sociologists say, is the very foundation of culture. The essence of culture is the sharing of meanings among members of a society. Unless one shares the language of a culture, one cannot participate in it. Fishman, 1985, page 128. Language influences our ways of perceiving, behaving, and feeling, and thus tends to define the shape the world around us. It is through language the idea, values, beliefs, and knowledge are transmitted, expressed, and shared. Without language, there will be no culture. Beliefs. There are ideas that people hold about the universe or any part of the total reality surrounding them. These are the things how people perceive reality. The subject of human beliefs may be infinite and may include ideas concerning the individual, other people, and any all aspects of the biological, physical, social, and supernatural world, be it primitive or scientific. Values. They are shared ideas about desirable goals. They are the person's ideas about worth and desirability, or an abstract of what is important and worthwhile. Values make up our judgment of moral and immoral, good and bad, right and wrong, beautiful and ugly, etc. Norms. These are shared rules of conduct that specify how people ought to think and act. A norm is ideas in the mind of the members of a group put into a statement specifying what members of the group should do, ought to do, or are expected to do under certain circumstances. Homans, 1950, page 125, 123. Norms are usually in the form of rules, standards, or perceptions, and social shared expectations. Norms has three forms. Mores. These are norms associated with strong ideas of right and wrong. Mores are standards of conduct that are highly respected and valued by the group and their fulfillment is felt to be necessary and vital to group welfare. They are considered essential to the group's existence and accordingly, the group demands that they be followed without questions. They represent obligatory behavior because their infraction results to punishment, formal or informal. Folkways. These are norms that are simply the customary, normal, habitual ways a group does things. These customary ways are accumulated and become repetitive patterns of expected behavioral which tends to become permanent traditions. One of the essential features of folkways is that there is no strong feeling of right or wrong attached to them. If one violates folkways, there is no punishment attached to it. Laws. These are often referred to as formal norms. They are rules that are enforced and sanctioned by the authority of the government. The legacy of early humans to contemporary population. The United Nations Educational, Scientific and Cultural Organization, UNESCO, is the primary transnational entity that manages and negotiates matters relating to human heritage. It defined cultural heritage as follows. Cultural heritage is not limited to material manifestations such as monuments and objects that have been preserved over time. This notion also encompasses living expressions and the traditions that countless groups and communities worldwide have inherited from their ancestors and transmit to their descendants. In most cases, orally, UNESCO 2010. This definition as with a two-part meaning of cultural heritage. On one end, there is heritage being tangible in the form of structures, monuments, historical sites, and other artifacts. On the other hand, there is heritage being intangible in the form of literature, oral traditions, concepts, and values. Tangible heritage could be divided into two categories, movable and immovable. The primary difference is these categories is the size of the heritage. For example, the Stonehenge is an immovable tangible heritage, whereas the sarcophagus of the Pharaoh Tutankhamun is a movable tangible heritage. Movable tangible heritage. Pieces are often removed from the sites where they were found and transferred to museums for safekeeping and maintenance. Immovable tangible heritage. Pieces are often left to the elements of nature. Example, rain, wind, sound, sun, which makes them vulnerable to decay and corrosion. This does not mean that conservation efforts are not being made. However, due to the constant exposure of these objects to these elements, conservation becomes more challenging. So that's all for today. Thank you and have a good day.